So I'm really honored to be here at LinkedIn Talent Connect. I have lots of people to thank on the LinkedIn team. My name is Jenny Devon. I'm the Senior Director of Employment Branding and Sourcing at ADP. And again, thank you so much for choosing this session. It means so much to me. I see lots of friends, old and new, in the room, and I really appreciate you being here. So when you look at ADP, how many of you are ADP clients? I have to thank those people right front. Thank you. We're really growing, and we're looking at predictive data and trying to really get that data in a dashboard for you. So some of the updates that LinkedIn has done with its dashboard and its UI, we're also trying to do with the information that you're giving us in payroll and salary. But really, big data to me, how are you using it? How are you taking the data and impacting your organization? Are you just getting a big survey and compiling it together? Or are you actually using that data to transform your company? So when I look at data points, it's really important for me to see what matters to my executive team and how can I use that data to transform what we're doing at ADP, not just check a box and print out a report every month. When you look at some of the things we're doing, we're really simplify, innovating, and growing, and this you can apply to your daily role. You can apply to your goals this year. Really, what can you simplify? What can we innovate and adopt and change? And how can we grow as an organization? And so what I want to talk about is kind of our journey. I've been with ADP for a year, and we really are starting to look at talent in a different way. If you can believe it, we didn't have talent pools. We didn't have sourcing function. We had people that were finding one candidate for one rec. Our sourcing team was using manual metrics, okay? And our middle name is data, right? Automatic data processing. So we had a lot of things that Adam Lawrence came in as our VP of Talent Acquisition and said, you know, what can we do differently? So our leaders realized we were cutting a lot of checks to third-party organizations, to nonprofits, to diversity groups, but we weren't trying to use those partnerships to get candidates. We were also doing a lot of things that were causing us a big time to fill. So a lot of our jobs were open for months and months and months because our execs would put in the recs to put a placeholder because they knew what was going to happen in Q4. Probably that budget was going to get paused, right? So they're putting in these recs early before they needed the hires. We were actually hiring interns and then training them and watching them walk out our door to go work at other companies. So we had to look at talent in a different way. And we really wanted to also look at our own talent and how could they get from one business unit to the next. And we created a Drive Your Career program. I'm a huge NASCAR fan. Hopefully all of you thought that as soon as I got up on stage. But it's that Drive Your Career program and how you can go from working in Paris for us and how you can go to Manila and how you can go work in Des Moines, Iowa if you wanted to. So when I look at the talent advisors we have an amazing talent acquisition team. And we have a very competitive landscape. As you know, the war for talent is over. And in the words of Josh Bernson, talent won. Talent has a lot of opportunities right now. Some of the talent we hire, they could get jobs at anywhere, at many of the employers here, and not just ADP. So our talent advisors had to really inspire innovation. They had to go from being seen as, I'm making pizza and I can make you anything you want, and you can just order it, I'm gonna make it to order, versus I'm giving you something, there's only 10 of it that exists in the world, the purple squirrels, right, that we talked about earlier today. And the hiring managers needed a better understanding of what was really out there in the marketplace, where we should actually hire the talent, and what we were competing against. So here's an example of how we did this with our product management hiring initiative. So we need to hire over 50 of these people, and we needed them to be able to work at ADP in our innovation lab in New York City. So when you looked at the data, we only had 250 candidates in the workplace. We were competing against 69 other employers. There was already 132 jobs open that we were competing against before we even started. So this had a level of 90%. Statistically, we shouldn't have been able to do this at ADP. So now when a hiring manager received a candidate, guess what? They all of a sudden had time to interview them. They all of a sudden were looking at them through a different lens, realizing how hard it was. Is anybody feeling this pain right now with tech hiring right now? Yeah, we should see each other afterwards at the social event, right? And so we also need to look at our cost per hire and take away the gut instinct. Recruiters, we all have a great gut instinct, right? And we needed to look at the data and what was really showing us. So people were saying to me, my cost per hire for this is high, my cost per hire for this is high. When we looked at our data, our cost per hire for LinkedIn job slots was really low. So we increased the amount of job slots we were given, and we actually gave an allotted amount to each business unit, and they gave them to the recruiters and said, it's your parking lot for your job. You switch it out when you want. You control that. You control what you advertise there. We put it in the hands of the recruiting team. The other thing we really wanted to do was have more needles, less haystack. So I don't need more unqualified candidates to have a bad candidate experience with ADP. I don't need more unqualified candidates going into this black hole and never getting a response. I need more qualified hires. I need to remove everything that brings me unqualified candidates. And so we really needed a customized employee value proposition, an EVP, for every group of candidates that we're hiring. In India, the tagline that they love to use at ADP is, "You're home away from home." And they actually take photos of associates with their moms and dads and put it up all over town. That's not going to probably resonate with the US-based audience that doesn't want to stay at work and 24/7 and have that mix of the home away from home, right? We also wanted to look at partnering with our leaders on hiring events, video assets, and our referral bonuses. Now, this may seem really simple, but we weren't doing a good job of it. At ADP, we didn't even have things translated in other languages. So as someone who came from a parent, my mother, came to this country when she was 16 years old, she didn't speak any English. You know, there was no Rosetta Stone back then. But I often think of her being in the LA airport, navigating, trying to get on her flight to Iowa to go meet up with my dad and his family, and the language barriers there. And I always think the barriers we put in front of talent that have disabilities, or the barriers we put because of the language differences. And that's something I always think about as I build things for global. I don't build things for the US and then say, okay, how can I build this in EMEA? I build for global first. I build for mobile first. We're all learning these lessons. So we decided to use a brand campaign that could be easily editable for our folks. So this is translated in 12 different languages. This is Paris, it's not Vegas. For some of you that think this is Vegas, it's actually Paris, France. And you can see we can change out the photographs. So we can really use associates that live and work in those areas, not fake photos of associates, right? That we're all trying to get away from. How many people are really moved by fake photos of employees having fun at work, wanting to fly? No. So we actually want to use associates when we can, and the language that would resonate with the audience. Even though at ADP, our main language is English, we want to be able to have this in 12 different languages. So we can use the college campus here. We can show that we're in campus, we're in town. We can show the reach. We can use it for a specific region or landmark for an area. It'll resonate with the audience that sees it. So it's important to have goals, and I really like Zig Ziglar's quote, if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. You know, if you have the best of intentions here, I mean, really think about it. How many of you learned something last year at LinkedIn Talent Connect? You said you were going to apply it. You said you were going to do something. Really did nothing with it at all. Let's try to make an impact. Let's try to take, it's overwhelming all the information we've received today. Try to take one or two best practices and really focus in on it. You can truly make a difference in the work that you're doing and the lives that you're impacting with people's careers. One of the things we did to try to replicate our business is using Net Promoter Scores. Anyone using this on the talent acquisition side? Awesome. So for us, this is how to get to the heart of our sales team, which is a very important part of ADP. So instead of using this for clients and how happy they are with our services, we've actually integrated this with our candidate process. So if you've heard of the candidate experience, some of you have heard of that or have any experience with that, this helps us find out the ways we can improve our candidate experience and the ways we can recognize our recruiters. And again, those talent acquisition data advisors on how we can use this feedback to hit our goals and improve that candidate experience. So before Jeff gets on stage, I'd just like to tell you to continue to collaborate with your internal brand leaders. I do it all the time. If someone owns brand in the Philippines, in China, in England, in marketing. For this particular business unit, I collaborate with them. I learn from them all the time. And I also really try to get best practices from other people in this room, from people online, from your tweets. I really do a good job of trying to follow that research and seeing what others are doing so I can learn from your lessons and learn from your successes and wins. I also think take it small. Start with one pilot, one hiring initiative, one group. So when I was trying new things at Waste Management and some of the companies I worked in, if I went in and tried to do it globally, they would say, you're crazy, or they wouldn't listen to me, or she's just that LinkedIn person. I started with one group that was really hungry for talent, and we tried a lot of different things, and I said, some things we try, they're gonna fail, but we're gonna be successful at some other things, and let's do this together. And then we could show our win, get our quick win, there's our buzzword bingo of the day, and move on to doing other things together. Also, let the data tell the story. A lot of us, we, again, want to go by that gut instinct, and it's really important to measure everything, because sometimes the data will tell you that that job posting is really working well in Career Builder or Monster, or this LinkedIn job slot is the way to go, or those recruiter licenses are how you're getting your hires. If you're not looking at the data, then you're really going by gut instinct, which we all can't afford to do in this age. So now I'll pass it off to Jeff.
All right, well, welcome. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon. We're not giving an iPhone 6, in case you're wondering at the end, but we really want to I want to be able to get your participation throughout the presentation. What I'm about to share with you is the journey that we've embarked on since 2012. Okay, and what we've done thus far and where we're at today, and how we've utilized data, right, to really transform our our recruiters to become strategic advisors. So I'll talk to you about our talent management approach, right, and also how I'm utilizing the theme of the conference, how we utilize data to connect, inspire, and transform. And then how we've leveraged our internal and external partners to be able to accomplish what we've accomplished thus far. How many of you have heard of Stryker? Great, it's good to see. So Stryker is a medical device company. I've got actually my team members here in case nobody showed up, that I wanted to make sure that I at least had a few people in the audience. We are a Fortune 300 company. In the last 10 years, we've actually moved up in the ranking about 188 spots, so we're very proud of that. 26,000 employees in over 100 countries. Part of the reason why the talent acquisition is so important is because we're a growth company. As you can see here, the growth what we've had over the years. And we need to make sure we've got the best talent, which they say talent has won in that war for talent. But we, as Stryker, we want to make sure that we have the best and brightest recruiters or talent advisors for us to continue to support the strategic needs of the business. We're also very proud of our recognition that we've had as a workplace environment across the globe. So I know that talent is not just a Stryker issue. I mean, that's why we're all here, right? But when PwC did the survey around what are the top issues that you face, that you think you're going to face as a CEO, and 78% out of that 1,200 global CEOs said, number one is talent. It's no surprise, right? And if you read through that survey, it really speaks around, some of them are really concerned that they're not going to be able to grow their businesses or support the needs of their businesses because of either not having the right talent or the lack of skill set. So at Stryker, one of those companies that talent is in that core or the center, right? And what I'm going to walk you through today is how we've really utilized data in each of these talent management approach. So give you a bit of background of our journey. Prior to 2012, number one focus for recruiters, fill a job. Jenny mentioned it was a wreck to a job, right? We're a decentralized organization, so we had, in the US, we had 12 different recruitment groups. If you looked at our agency utilization, 30% average, some of them up to 50%, which I think all of you in this room would think that's very, very high in the US. Look at managers are not satisfied. Process is all over the place. So we really had figured out how to transform not only the function, but we needed to really start with the recruitment team. So in our journey, the first and most important thing is to really define, redefine, or clarify what is a strategic talent advisor to your organization. Because what it means to us at Stryker may be very different to you. Okay, so for us, it was really important that they really not only understand the business, but they're embedded. I know Jeff spoke about it today, about the importance of that, right? So they can't just be, they will just take the order as we talk about the order takers. They really need to be able to challenge, right? And don't just satisfy our hiring managers. They also need to have that expertise around what's going on in the market. We talk to our team about you need to be the resource for that hiring team, for that hiring manager, to be able to tell them what's going on in that market. And I'll show you how we've been able to do that. And more importantly, this is something that's for us is really important. A strategic talent advisor is someone who mentors others and shares their secrets. Right? How many of you probably had known great recruiters, but they keep that to themselves? And to us, it's not about just your individual, it's about the team as a whole. So now that you've redefined or clarified or defined, you need to have a strategy around, do you hire for experience or do you hire for talent and potential? Someone tell me, what are some of the pros of hiring for somebody who's experienced? Or what are some of the pros? They can jump right in. What else? What are pros? Maturity. What was that? Known commodity, right? Domain expertise, right? So you're buying that. What are some of the cons of hiring experienced recruiters? What was that? Bad habits. Set in their ways, right? May not be as adaptable. What are some of the pros of hiring somebody more, let's say, not much experience, or maybe very little experience, but has business experience within your organization? What are some of the pros of that? Fresh, right? Fresh ideas. Gravitate towards new ideas. They're hungry. They're hungry, right? They're driven, they're ambitious. They also think outside the box, because it's not because they've always done it. Okay? So at Stryker, we hire about 20% of our team every year is either a new grad hire or somebody from the business who may not have recruitment experience. Because part of that is we become also the feeder for the organization. And it gives you a little bit of diversified of individuals so that they can challenge each other. There's really no right or wrong on the right way to do your hiring, but what you need to do is, and what's worked for us, or you need to think about, is have a strategy. Right? And for us, we said 20% because 20% of my team every year has either gone to HR, marketing, operations, or sales. Okay, so now that you've defined, now that you have a hiring strategy, then you connect. How many of you have hired early on as a manager where you have a new hire, right? And then you kind of just throw them in the deep end of the pool. We've all done it, it's okay. I've done it too. And I've learned from that in my previous roles. So this talent acquisition leadership team, what we've done is we've really looked at how we can treat that new hire like a red carpet treatment. We have a pretty well-defined onboarding assimilation for each of the role within talent acquisition. Okay, so whether that's a you have an onboarding buddy. Sometimes it's a WebEx, learning management system. So we have many different ways, but you could see here, right, before we send them out to the hiring managers, we make sure that they're well equipped. They understand the talent and supply demand market reports that we have, right? So they understand really about the business, especially if they're not familiar with your organization, right? We take the time to make sure that they understand the metrics, the analytics. We use a lot of these data, not just for data reasons, so that they understand how they play and the role that they have and how important that is into the organization. It seems a lot because here's a snapshot of what we call their plan for each role has its own onboarding plan, right? So we partner with some of our external partners, LinkedIn, for example. We ensure that we get them trained on the products that we have and not just expect that they understand how to use it because they've used LinkedIn before, right? Because you have your own ways that your expectations, so you're setting that ahead of time. So after you've defined, right, you've got a hiring strategy, you've connected with them and onboarded them. Now that they're on board, now you have to inspire or engage them. And there's 3 things here that I'm looking at. So we use data. First and foremost, we use a team engagement survey data. So we do what we call the Q12 engagement survey by Gallup. So we actually use that for our team as well. And not that just everyone takes a survey, it's great. We actually, each group will sit down, review the data, and really understand what's going well, where are the opportunities, and how each of the team members can play a role in increasing the engagement. Again, utilizing data, right? Because these are a benchmark, and our team, this year had scored always in the 75th percentile of the Gallup database. Right? Because we look at them as they need to be highly engaged in order for them to really engage our hiring managers and also our candidates. We also do quarterly or sometimes monthly challenges and promotions for our team. So if there's data or metrics or a focus for the business that we need to really get after, we would do, we would do a contest or a promotion, and so we will put some prizes, whether it's a vacation day, a gift certificate, a trip to Talent Connect or ERE, some of those professional development conference. And again, it really engages them because they really are highly competitive individuals, right? And they're also very metrics driven. Finally, it's our Talent Acquisition Academy. So I bring in the team once a year, right? In a location where we really focus on the team's, on the team's development. So the curriculum on that is based on the feedback from stakeholders. So we use all of the data that we have. LinkedIn certification exam. How did we do as a whole? Where are our opportunities? Hiring manager satisfaction survey, right? Candidate experience survey. Looking at some of the metrics that we have. And we base our curriculum based on that. We also give awards at that time as part of the engagement to reward them for their performance, metrics-wise. Another way for us to use data. And finally, it's then the transformation. We leverage our recruiting managers and data to accelerate that development and that to become the strategic talent advisor. Each individual has what we call a development plan, right? And a development plan specifically for them, and that is between the manager and the recruiter, really looking at all the data that they have as part of their metrics. Looking at their LinkedIn certification again, right, as individuals. And then what we do is not only that they have an ongoing discussion, every 6 months we actually do have a formal sit down, right, the manager, and looking at their metrics and their data. Then we look at successes, challenges, forward focus. Very simple, 2-page, 2 slides, and we created a template so that all of them are not spending a lot of time. It's just very basic. It's more the discussion that's more important. And then we also provide them with opportunities for development. So looking at where those gaps are. And some of our top performers, the ones that do really well, we give them even more projects and more opportunity for development, because they become the pipeline for our leadership roles within the organization, within talent acquisition, or somewhere else within the organization. This is really, really important, because there's no way we could do what we've done without the partnership, right, and the collaboration with our external partners. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but it didn't cost us any money to use a lot of these partners, the existing partnership that we have. And it's really great, whether that's for an individual group of recruiters or for the team as a whole. It's something that we've leveraged them for. But I can tell you, I know some of you are probably thinking, I don't have the budget for it. You have to think outside the box. You have to be creative. So in our journey, and by no means we're not there, 3 years, here's where we're at, right? So we've reduced, looking at from satisfaction, the agency utilization, we're now at 9%. We're also looking at our talent export, which I'm very proud of, because when you actually export talent out of your groups to other roles within the organization, it's a good thing. It is hard because you have to retrain again another new recruiter, but it works for us. And then again, the engagement that I mentioned. So with that, just a few things for a key takeaway. It's important to really understand what a strategic talent advisor means to your organization. I can't say that enough, because I'm not telling you that what I've got here, just use it for your, to your organization, and it will work, right? We're all different phases of our journey, and that's really important to make sure to mention. Also, how do you then incorporate data into your assessment, right, into your hiring strategy, selection strategy? So when you're looking for that next recruiter, right, what are those things what are the things that's worked for your organization in the past? And how do you then take that and benchmark those who are interviewing for these roles? And again, invest in your team. I'm very passionate about the team, and any time that I can give them that opportunity to make sure that we are helping them really close that gap. Right? Because a lot of these are skill-based, competency-based that they can improve on. And finally, ensure that whatever you're doing is tied to the strategic initiative, right? Or has got strategic impact on your business. All right? So again, my hope is that if you at least take one thing from here, or if you'd like more information, please do feel free to contact me. But again, I appreciate the time that you took this afternoon. All right? So we'll...
All right.
Yes.
So we're going to open it up for questions.
Yeah, at which point do you introduce Gallup in your process? Is it before you make the hire or after you make the hire?
Before.
And so what have you taken from that as far as what data points have you introduced, and how do you measure your success based on that Gallup?
Yeah, correct. So he's talking about the assessment that we do very upfront, right? That we use for new hires. And your question is, how do you know that it's working? Is that because what we do is we look at the individual's performance over time, and then we always refer back to that data.
And then a follow-up to that is, how do you know it's the Gallup that's doing that versus your own process, your own organization, right? Your own way of doing business? How do you differentiate between the two?
How do I differentiate between our process or Gallup? Because it is our tool, right? We just partner with Gallup in terms of building it, but it's defined what works for us, right? What fits into our organization, right? Because it's not like we just took what, say, Gao said, here's what you've got to use. We've actually defined it by looking at our best, studying that best, thinking about what are the common DNA, right? The common thread with the best. Then they helped us build an assessment.
And do you do that for only your talent team or your entire organization?
We do it for different roles within the organization, have different types of assessment.
I'd be really interested to find out your technical roles and how that data, how you guys do like that.
Okay.
I know you do like in banking and whatnot, but I've never heard of like technical decisions.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Any other questions?
Your Connect slide was impressive. Who did you call on to assist you in getting together like an onboarding plan and orientation for your team?
Yeah, so the question was how the onboarding, the Connect slide, the leadership team, so all the managers that within the function, talent management, right, because they have some of this stuff built out that we just need to tailor to our groups. We also count on our external partners to help us with that. But it's a pretty detailed, and we feel like it's pretty robust, just because, again, we want to make sure that we equip any new hires, right, with all the tools, be able to become, data, so that they can become a talent advisor.
For the candidate experience, this is to both of you. So we're also implementing a candidate experience survey doing Net Promoter. We do it internally, so we send it out to candidates that have been rejected as well as hired. How do you guys go about it, and is that how you implement it, or are you going through the awards, or?
Yeah, so we have 2 different candidate experience surveys. So we have one that's integrated by a third party that's for the award itself, and we just felt it was more cost effective to adhere to what the award needed. For those of you that don't have knowledge around the candidate experience award, you have to have a certain number of people that you didn't hire and a certain number of people that you hired. So I know we all are in need of a caffeine injection, so I won't touch that too much in detail to put everyone to sleep. But with the internal one, with their Net Promoter Score, we contact everyone. So we have, if you are sitting on the scale as a detractor or a passive, you're contacted by us regardless. And we have a single person make the phone calls and emails to all of the candidates that are in that pipeline.
So regardless if they've been rejected or hired?
Correct.
So that's
Because we need to know where we're improving. We need to know who our stand-up recruiters are. There's lots of recruiters at ADP that are doing amazing work with candidate experience. They're just not getting recognized. We want to make sure they're getting recognized for that.
Do you know what the industry standard for Net Promoter Score for candidate experience is based on contacting?
We don't have enough data to say what our standard should be. What I would do is probably look at the resources available on the candidateexperienceawards.org. Jerry Crispin leads that. There's tons of research available. There's lots of best companies here, including PepsiCo. So the team from PepsiCo, Chris Hoyt and Katie Jones are here. Stryker's won the award. So Jeff has a lot of advice on that too. So, and we've won the award 4 years at ADP. So there's lots of companies here, but I would say what works best for you. You may not get 3-4 million candidates applying. You may have a smaller pool. You may be able to provide a better candidate experience.
We also have 2 candidate experience. So one is the folks that made it through the process as new hire. As part of the CEB, Corporate Executive Board, we partner with them. And those are benchmarked, which is great data. And then for those who, we have those, for those that didn't make it through the process, and 2 data that we use. The monkey survey that through our ATS, right? So depending on where they were dispositioned. And then the other one is the Candidate Experience Award and the data that we received from that. And actually those data that we received, we've been able to make some changes within our processes. Also providing our recruiters with very specific feedback because we asked who their recruiter was, right? Like did they feel like they were treated with respect, for example? I mean, you have a lot of this data because we want to make sure that even if they didn't make it through our process, that we want them still to walk away feeling good. And they were then they were treated like they were respected.
For us, everything is about the social referral. Would they recommend their friend or family member apply to ADP. That is the holy grail of candidate experience. They say no, we're in trouble. They say yes, we're on the right track. Do you have another question?
Could you speak a little more to your success profiles and your process and creating those and just getting into new stuff?
Yeah, so what we've done for our success profiles, we partner with a third party to really look at what works for our function, because we've studied the people or the individuals, and then we built an interview for it that we use in the selection process. And then, so that's more on what we call the fit and the talent piece, and then the other pieces, right, around the business first, or the consultative skills. Those are the ones that we really just we use for our interview process, the actual face-to-face. So we have 2 sets of assessments.
Good question.
Any other questions?
Any other ones? We all ready for some caffeine?
Yeah.
And a break stretch?
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Very appreciative.